G'day, mates! Today, we're going to talk about critters named after the legendary wildlife conservationist Steve Irwin, the Crocodile Hunter. Just in case you were born in the 21st century and somehow missed out, Steve was an Australian wildlife conservationist and host of the television show The Crocodile Hunter. He garnered fame from his fearless and often unorthodox interactions with dangerous and deadly critters, as well as his lifelong diligence in education and wildlife conservation. Born in 1962, he grew up around reptiles, helping at his parents' wildlife refuge, the Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park. In 1992, this park would become the Australia Zoo, as Steve and his wife Terry expanded the facilities and focused on turning it into a world-leading wildlife conservation facility. This included a wildlife hospital and breeding programs for many of Australia's rarest and most endangered species. Tragically, Steve died from an injury caused by a short-tailed stingray in 2006 while filming for a series about the Great Barrier Reef. His legacy lives on in his family's continued work at both the Australia Zoo and the Wildlife Warriors, as well as the many critters that are named for him. First up, we have Trypanosoma irwini. This is a zoonotic protozoan, a microscopic blood-borne parasite found in koalas. It was discovered in 2009, and it was the first Trypanosoma species to be described as a pathogen in koalas, one of Australia's key endangered mammals. Trypanosoma species have a complex life cycle. They're usually heterozygous, requiring more than one obligatory host to complete the life cycle. T. irwini is similar in that it alternates between its asexual reproductive form in its vertebrate hosts and its sexual reproductive form in its vector hosts. The majority are transmitted by blood-feeding invertebrates, often hitching a ride in the guts of flies, fleas, and ticks. And some trypanosomatids even cause diseases in humans, such as sleeping sickness and Chagas disease. So its discovery helped scientists better understand wildlife health and ecology of vulnerable species, something Steve was passionate about. Next up, crikey, Steve Irwin. Yep, named for Steve's iconic minced oath catchphrase and often khaki garb, this extremely rare species of arboreal snail has only been found in a handful of locations, all high in the mountainous rainforests in northern Queensland at altitudes above 1,000 meters. This sparse habitat and low population numbers make it extremely susceptible to environmental changes within its range. It's the only species within the genus Crikey, and it differs from all other Australian arboreal caminid snails by the lack of a penile verge and epiphallic flagellum. This is a rabbit hole that I will go down in a later video. Stay tuned. And finally, we have Elsea irwini, Irwin's turtle. These are members of the Chelidae family, endemic to the region of the Burdekin River watershed in North Queensland, part of the catchment basin which empties into the Great Barrier Reef. Steve and his father Bob Irwin caught a female in 1990 and verified the critter was indeed a newly discovered species. It was named in their honor shortly after. They exhibit sexual dimorphism. Males are smaller and more drab in color, while females of the species have a light, almost white head and body due to lack of multiple pigments. This is known as hypomelanism. Females also have these cute little horn-like sheaths on their chin. Tickle, tickle. These turtles are most commonly found below rapids in highly oxygenated water. Like some other turtles, they can breathe underwater through cloacal oxygen exchange. They possess a set of sac-like organs known as cloacal bursae, which serve to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide between the bloodstream and water. The species was affected by a significant ecological change when the Burdekin Falls Dam was constructed in 1987. As a result, they were thought to have been lost from the lower Burdekin River after not being seen for 25 years. Now, future development plans, habitat destruction, and pollution threaten the future of this species. Thanks to the Queensland Government, the Australia Zoo, and Wildlife Warriors, teams were given permission to create a safe sanctuary for a group of E. irwini, and they are now working hard to establish an insurance population through a world-first breeding program. As of 2023, Steve's son Robert announced the first successful captive hatching of the species. Say hi to Paris! In 2007, the Australian government dedicated 335,000 acres of pristine wilderness in Cape York, Queensland to honor Steve. This became the Steve Irwin Wildlife Reserve, a safe haven for animals that Steve loved, like freshwater crocodiles, rare turtles, and the elusive northern quoll. It was a place of untouched rainforests, winding rivers, and some of the most diverse ecosystems in Australia, including the Winlock River, which has the highest biodiversity of freshwater fish in the country, over 48 species recorded. The reserve is managed by Australia Zoo's conservation organization, the Wildlife Warriors, which continues Steve's mission of protecting wildlife and their habitats. But just a few years later, this land management was under threat. In 2010, a mining company set its sights on the reserve, looking to extract bauxite, a key ore for aluminum production. The proposed area for mining contained the headwaters of irreplaceable waterways and unique biodiversity, which would not recover after mining operations had finished. If approved, the mining operations would have torn up great swaths of forests, polluted waterways, and destroyed critical habitats beyond reclamation. Steve's family weren't going to let that happen. They launched a nationwide campaign, rallying conservationists, scientists, and wildlife lovers to take a stand. Thousands of people signed petitions, wrote letters, and voiced their opposition to the mine. Bindi Irwin, just 12 years old at the time, even spoke out publicly, calling for actions to protect her father's legacy. After months of relentless effort, the Irwins won. The government blocked the mining project, and the Steve Irwin Wildlife Reserve remained protected, a place where wildlife could thrive, just as Steve would have wanted. Today, the reserve is more than just a piece of land. It is a symbol of Steve's mission. His passion for conservation lives on, not just in the creatures named after him, but the very landscapes that he fought to protect.